Hey everybody, this is Sam with Wrestling Overtime, and I haven't heard from you guys in a while, so I thought I'd drop in. I saw a What Culture Wrestling article, and it got me thinking. It came out Sunday, March 22nd, 2020, and I'm going to include the link in the notes so that you guys can read it. But it got me thinking. I changed the title just a little bit, and I'm going to use some of their thoughts as starting off points, but then I'm kind of give you my view on things and kind of read into the future. Because what has happened in our world with the coronavirus is changing everything. I know it's changing my life. I'm a middle school basketball coach, and it's taken sports away from me. The only sports that I have right now is pro wrestling. Everything from NASCAR to basketball to XFL football to baseball, everything is shutting down. They're not allowing schools to be in session. They're not allowing teams to practice. Even people are watching marble tournaments or watching the NASCAR drivers drive e-racing cars on TV. ESPN has been replaying different WrestleManias. I can't help but think, after seeing this What Culture Wrestling article, will wrestling be changed forever? And they brought up some good points that I guess I kind of want to explore. I want to explore them with you. For those of you who are not a member of Wrestling Overtime's Facebook page, you need to. You need to come join us on Facebook, like the page. You can find What Culture articles there. You can find WrestleZone articles there, Ringside News, Fightful.com. You can even find Wrestling Rumors articles there, or Daily DDT articles. Whatever you want is there. I post any rumors by Brad Shepard, by WrestleVotes, anything like that. And then all of these podcasts are listed there. I want you guys to come and feel at home there. Of course, join us at Wrestling Overtime Twitter. But most of all, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. We are on all major wrestling or all podcast platforms. Make sure that you're subscribing to us so that you can get our updates. I am trying to put stuff out daily, if not every other day. I want to make sure that you guys are getting your wrestling fix, because I am totally missing sports. And of course, wrestling gossip and rumors and things from the past, we always talk about no matter what. But let's kind of get into this. Man, oh man, Vince McMahon shocked me. Making WrestleMania a 2-night event really did shock me. It's been talked about. People have wanted it to be a 2-night event. Will wrestling be changed forever? Will Vince McMahon make this a permanent 2-night event? Will it become like Wrestle Kingdom? And will it finally become watchable? Will we get enough stories for it to be a good 2-night event? Because for a while, Vince McMahon is trying to be the Super Bowl of wrestling. And it seems like every year the Super Bowl is starting earlier and earlier and earlier with their pre-show. And I've gotten to the point where I don't want to watch the pre-show of the Super Bowl. I don't want the Super Bowl to start at 2 o'clock. And then the pre-show of the Super Bowl starts at 6, and then we get kickoff at 7:18, and then I can't go to bed until 11, 12 o'clock, and I've got to go to work the next morning. And that's what WrestleMania was becoming. It was becoming a 6, 8, 9 hour event, and I was getting tired. I can only take so many video packages. Yes, if you get a 3 or 4 good commentary team, and no, that does not include Sam Roberts. No, that really doesn't include Booker T. Give me some people out there. Give me a 10, 15-minute segment where Triple H comes out and breaks something down. When Bruce Pritchard comes out, breaks something down. When Eric Bischoff comes out, breaks something down. Yeah, you can make a pre-show last an hour or two, and I'll watch it. But I don't want a 4 or 5 hour pre-show and then, a 3 or 4 hour main event. I have no desire for that. I am glad they're going to a 2-night event. However, I can't help but think somebody brought it to Vince McMahon's attention that they could make more money at this. Granted, they're not going to do it this year on the WWE Network. But somebody somewhere has brought it up as if they would have had a 2-night event at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa that he could have sold double the tickets. He's talking about doing a streaming deal with ESPN Plus, and that's double the pay-per-view. So more people to see it, more money. People get to see different things at different times. Maybe we can get him to start it a little earlier so that more kids will get to see it before they go to bed. Could this become permanent? Yeah, I think it will. I think it's too easy for Vince McMahon not to turn down. Like I said, more money, more people. I can definitely see him doing this. AEW is taking a commanding lead over NXT. And this is likely to be forever. I don't know that NXT can come back from this. I mean, AEW is offering true live wrestling. They put on a heck of a show this past week. I think they had 4 or 5 matches. They furthered storylines before they announced that they were pushing back Blood and Guts. I mean, they were ready in pushing Blood and Guts up. They had the debuts of Brody Lee and Matt Hardy. And for NXT, for over an hour, we got a video package of the story from Ciampa and Gargano. And why I loved it, because I didn't follow NXT back then. I didn't know the whole story. I definitely didn't know the different matches that I could write down and go back and watch. But it's not something that's going to make me turn off AEW. And so they got killed in the ratings by over probably 400,000 people, 500,000 people. Turned it off. I mean, just totally. And if AEW continues to offer true live storytelling wrestling for the next couple weeks, and WWE has made the decision already to start taping a couple weeks in advance, and they're taping WrestleMania, I can't help but think AEW may take some viewers from WWE. You know, Raw and SmackDown for the last 2 weeks, I guess, have been bringing back legends to keep their ratings up. They've been bringing back Undertaker. They've been bringing back Steve Austin. They're bringing back Goldberg. You know, I look for them to bring back The Rock sooner or later. They brought back John Cena. But how long can they keep that up? Especially when these older guys aren't wrestling, and they're not wrestling on a regular basis. And Brock Lesnar is in Canada and can't cross the border. And he's got the championship. So, exactly what are they going to do? You know? Are they going to continue to tape? And is AEW going to be able to continue with live wrestling? Or are they going to make them start taping it? Or are they going to make the decision to take a hiatus? What's going to happen? So is wrestling going to be changed forever just because of this one little thing? Are smaller promotions even going to be able to recover? Because all of them have been canceled. I mean, when you look at MLW, Impact, New Japan, all of them have been canceled. And that's not even mentioning the smaller promotions like House of Glory, or the ones that run up in Minneapolis, or you know, the ones that run in Arizona and New Mexico and bring the AAA luchadors in. Our borders are getting ready to be closed. These promotions rely on live ticket sales and on merchandise sales. And, you know, while some of them, like MLW, they have some streaming services, but it's nothing humongous. It's nothing huge. And if they can't perform live wrestling, can they make money? Are they going to end up going out of business? Is WWE going to buy them? Is AEW going to buy them? And I know a lot of you are thinking, well, why would WWE want them? We all know Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon would love, number one, to put them out of business. Number two, some of them have wrestlers that are 18, 19, 20 years old that put in the Performance Center for 4 years. They may be stars. They may not, but it keeps them from going somewhere else. And, you know, they get their library. And Vince McMahon has been trying to get a hold of Impact TNA's library for years. And, you know, Jeff and Jerry Jarrett and Dixie Carter wouldn't give it to him. He wants his hands on that library. Can you imagine the WWE Network with TNA's library? With the library of AJ Styles? Was it of Samoa Joe? I mean, come on. Even with Bubba Ray and Devon. So, can these smaller promotions, can they stand it? Can the independent wrestlers stand it? Our contract's going to get broken and wrestlers going to go to WWE or AEW. Is AEW, is Tony Khan going to buy Impact Wrestling TNA just to keep it away from Vince McMahon? Does he want to play that kind of hardball? Does he want those wrestlers? Can you imagine Tony Khan making a deal where he buys Impact Wrestling and gets his hands on Tessa Blanchard before her contract even runs out in June, and then signs her to a long-term contract without WWE even getting to make her an offer? How unreal would that be? How unreal would it be to have Tessa Blanchard in AEW turning that women's division completely around? I mean, it makes the women's division just jump forward 3,000 million zillion feet just by getting her. Could live shows become a thing of the past? Could, by doing what they're doing this week, what actually started on Sunday, March 22nd, they started taping SmackDown. They were supposed to tape 2 shows of SmackDown. They're taping WrestleMania later this week. If that goes well, if spoilers don't get out, if Vince McMahon sees how cost-effective it can be to fly in 30 wrestlers for 2 days or 3 days, pay their hotel, pay for them a rental car for 3 days, and tape a month of wrestling and then send them away, and not have to pay any travel expenses, rental cars, anything like that anymore for the rest of the month. And he sees how cost effective that can be. Will he continue to want to be a traveling circus going all over the place with Raw and SmackDown? Now, of course, I can't see him not having pay-per-views as live shows all over the United States. But will he want to continue having Raw and SmackDown all over the United States? Now, spoilers, they kill us. Everybody wants to know what happened on Raw and SmackDown. Will they get out ahead of time? NXT does sometimes. NXT would tape a month of shows, sometimes 2 months of shows, and it would get out. And I absolutely, couldn't stand it. But can WWE do that? And what happens when, a wrestler ends up getting hurt before however many episodes you've taped happen? That's happened before with Ring of Honor. It's happened before with NXT. How will Vince handle that? Will he blow up at having a retape? But, I can honestly see him doing away with a lot of live shows and having the traveling circus. Or just having NXT become the traveling circus, the younger guys, and Raw and SmackDown not be able to. But you know what? Looking back on it, man, oh man, I would have hated that as a kid. I mean, when they came to my hometown and I got to see them, I got to see NWA, I got to see WCW, I got to see, WWE. It was just unbelievable. And I was grinning from ear to ear and have some wonderful memories. I mean, I can remember my first wrestling show, seeing Nikita Khrushchev come down the aisle. I can't imagine not being able to experience that anymore, or kids not being able to experience that anymore. So I really, really hope that doesn't happen. Will fans meet and greets become a thing of the past? I mean, Access and WrestleCon have already been canceled this year. I know that a lot of WrestleCon and Access are, us older people. They're not the 7 and 8-year-olds standing in line unless they're with their parents. I know a lot of it is the wrestling geeks that are in their 20s or 30s, or they're in their 50s wearing their belts or whatever, dying to meet John Cena and, Natty. But that's still a big deal. That's a dream of a lot of people. I know when AEW came in October to my town for the 4th show ever, they had meet and greets, and and they had them in the concourse. And it was just unbelievable to walk around that concourse, to be getting a Coke, and see Jurassic Express standing there doing meet and greets with fans. I can't imagine not being able to meet your superstars, to wave to them, to be able to say thank you, to grab a picture with them, to get an autograph from them. Now, granted, I understand with the coronavirus. I understand with the flu. I understand with a lot of the sicknesses that the stars themselves and the company doesn't want to risk their health. Because sometimes, when little towns, they only see hundreds and hundreds of fans. But at Access and at StarCast and at WrestleCon, they're meeting thousands. I understand them not wanting to shake hands or give hugs or take, pictures with someone. But I think those stars, because they grew up in it, they understand what it means. Heck, they make my day when Cody retweets something I say on Twitter, or even answers something or says thank you. So I can't imagine them doing away with meet and greets. But I have a funny feeling they will. I think we're going to get more StarCast things where, like Conrad thought up, where they give lectures, where, the fans get microphones and they get to ask questions, and they do Q&As, or they do little settings in bars or restaurants like Bruce Pritchard does where he tells a couple stories and then he does Q&A. I think we'll get those. I think this sickness will change that part of wrestling forever. I think the days of shaking hands, giving hugs, and saying a personal thank you, looking a wrestler in their eyes 2 feet away, I think that's probably over. And I hate that. I absolutely hate it. Will we continue to see new stars be created? I hope so. I mean, AEW and WWE have a lot of stars. At last count, WWE had over 300 people signed, and that's to three brands, and they don't use half of them. How are we going to see new stars? If the stars of today don't become injured or they don't get sick because, of coronavirus or some kind of other sickness, and allow someone new to step up, how are we really going to create new stars? Think about that. NXT is not a developmental league now. It's a brand. Are they going to open the Performance Center back up and create new stars? And how are they going to get on stage? How are they going to get the time? AEW doesn't have that yet. Yes, Cody's talked about creating it, but it's not up and running. What if all of the smaller promotions fold? What if they can't recover? What if MLW? What if New Japan? What if Impact? What if House of Glory? What if they can't exist anymore? Where do our new stores come from? I mean, when you're a 16-year-old kid, a 15-year-old kid, like John Good, John Moxley, and you're growing up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and there's not a wrestling school nearby, and you're dropping out of high school, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? Are you going to go to Orlando, Florida, and try to wow WWE as a 15, 16-year-old kid living down there on your own as a high school dropout? It's not going to happen. So how are new stars going to be created? Does this make WWE become more powerful? Does WWE buy them all out? Do they put them out of business? Yes, AEW can compete because of Tony Khan's money. Who else can, though? Does this create a wrestling off-season? AEW was talking about it when they were formed, about having a wrestling off-season. They really did. They talked about it. They weren't sure. They were talking about how careers could be lengthened. I mean, think about it. AEW right now is not a traveling circus. They travel, on Tuesdays to go to the show wherever it is in the United States on Wednesday, and they leave on Thursday, and then they're home. Or, they can do independent stuff. They can go to New Japan or whatever. But basically, if you're Chris Jericho, you're traveling on Tuesday, you're working on Wednesday, and Thursday you're back home and you're doing teleconferences, you're on the phone, you're doing video chats or whatever, discussing next week's show. He's not putting his body through the ringer, 7 days a week. So careers get lengthened in AEW anyway. But can you imagine if you gave him a month, 2 months off, and said AEW is shut down for these 2 months? And how that could lengthen careers? How people then could get surgeries that they need. They don't have to wait until their storyline's over another 2 months. I can't imagine. Think about it. Do we need 52 weeks of wrestling a year? We don't get 52 weeks of football. We don't get 52 weeks of basketball. We don't get 52 weeks of baseball. Why do we have to have 52 weeks of wrestling? And if, and this is a big if, but if WWE and AEW could get it together, and AEW takes a different month or 2 months off than WWE takes a month or 2 months off, you could get 52 weeks of wrestling a year. It just wouldn't be with the same exact company. And everybody could see it and have it. But will they work together? No, they won't. I don't see that happening. But think about it if they would. Should wrestling have an off season? I'm not too sure it shouldn't. I can't help but think that it definitely should be, Christmas through New Year's, but who knows? And like I said, do we get home bases? I mean, that's basically, I guess, my last point. Will wrestling be changed forever by wrestling getting home bases? Will we see the WWE stop being a traveling circus and wrestle Raw, SmackDown, and NXT out of Orlando? Will that become their Hall of Fame? Will they become another Orlando attraction where you can go see Disney World, you can go see Universal, you can go see SeaWorld, you can go see Legoland, you can go see Busch Gardens, and you go see WWE. While you're down there for a week, you can go to Disney World during the day and go to Raw that night. And you can go to Universal on Friday and go to SmackDown, later that night. And you can go to SeaWorld on Wednesday and then go to NXT that night. Will we see them be based out of Orlando and just travel for the pay-per-views? Will we see AEW be based out of Jacksonville or Atlanta? I can definitely see AEW be based out of Atlanta. I can see Cody opening up a performance center, a wrestling school, where you go to wrestling school, then you go to their performance center, and then you go to their minor league, and then you go to Dynamite, and it be based out of Atlanta. Will they still travel? I think they will. But I can see them also coming out of Atlanta. I don't know. Will that happen? It'd be cheaper. It'd be cheaper for the companies. Would it be cheaper for the fans? I don't know. Because in some ways, I think AEW, with the way their tickets are structured now, I think it would be cheaper for their fans as far as attending a show. Now, depending on where you live, it may not be cheaper because you would have to fly in and see them. Same thing with Orlando. But will Vince McMahon lower his ticket prices? No, I don't think so. I think it's still going to cost a lot to go to a WWE show. I can't see him totally lowering his ticket prices. Plus, like I said, the expenses and all of that of actually getting to Orlando. But we all have heard, the South is one of the biggest wrestling areas around. So can I see that happening? Yeah, definitely. Definitely I could. So will this pandemic, this coronavirus global pandemic, change wrestling forever? I say yes. I say yes. In some way, looking back on this 5 years from now, we will see a change. 20 years from now, I think our kids see a humongous change. I think they point to this as one of the turning points of wrestling. Like a lot of people, when Vince Kennedy McMahon Jr., when he took over WWE in the North and he started buying all of the little companies and eating up the territories, people now point to that as a huge turning point in wrestling. They point to when he bought WCW as a huge turning point in wrestling. I think 20 years from now, 30 years from now, we point to this coronavirus global pandemic as a turning point in wrestling. I just hope it's a good one. I hope that we use this in order to make pro wrestling better. I hope we don't see it as the downfall of pro wrestling. I hope Impact and New Japan and MLW and House of Glory, and I hope all of them don't go under. I hope we don't lose things like WrestleCon. Independent promoters. I hope Conrad Thompson doesn't lose StarCast. I hope those are too good to lose. I really do. But are they? I don't know. Only time will tell. Only the fans will tell. And that's the thing. Fans, you can't sit on your hands during this. You've got to let your dollars and your mouth speak. You've got to tell the wrestling companies what you want and what you'll stand for. Please, please, please. And if you want to tell me what you think, you can hit me up on wrestlingovertime@gmail.com. Or like I said, like our page on Facebook, Wrestling Overtime, or send me a tweet, send me a DM, send me a messenger comment. But please do not sit on your hands. Let AEW and WWE know. Support your local indie wrestlers. Buy merchandise. I have said that on numerous shows now. Please find out. You know who your favorite wrestlers are, and if you have the money in your budget, go to their site or go to Pro Wrestling Tees and buy their merchandise, because that's how you can support them right now. Please, please, please support your local favorite independent wrestlers so that they can get through this. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Thank you for allowing me to talk in your ears for a little while. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so that you can get all your latest updates. And like I've told you before, go on podchaser.com. Review us, please. Review us. I know a lot of you don't care to review us on Apple Podcasts, but if you review us on Apple Podcasts, everybody doesn't get to see it. So go to podchaser.com where everybody can see your reviews. We, like I said, are on most major platforms. You can always see us at Red Circle. You can look us up there and use the link that is provided below. You guys can donate or tip about any of the episodes you've heard. I am not begging for that, but if you would like to show your appreciation, I sure will not turn it down. But please subscribe so that you get all future podcasts as soon as they come out. And like I always say, if you have any questions, comments, problems, or protests, please write me at Wrestling Overtime and tell me what you want or how I can change something. I aim to please you. We are for the fans, by the fans, and I hope to talk to you guys real soon.